Hey, this is the Antisocial Socialite back at it again. Shout out to all of the wonderful new subscribers and returning friends. Welcome. If you are new to the channel, you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. I want to give a massive shout out to everyone who's been sharing the content, everyone who's in the loop, liking, disliking, and letting me know what they think. I really appreciate every single one of you. So let's get right into this topic. You know, depending on where you are in the world, I was watching it this morning. For you guys, it would have been last night. Kevin Samuels did a show, and there was a lady on there who came on, and you know, she was kind of the epitome of everything black men in this space talk about. She's a woman who's 30 years of age, not a lot of dating history. She hasn't had many long-term relationships, and on top of it, you know, she's kind of confused about the direction she wants to go in her life. I just did a video on the lady who said, you know, this brother upgraded me. He's put me in a nice house. He's given me a nice car, and I'm not coming out for anything, even though the relationship is over. You upgraded me. You should maintain me. And this is kind of in the same vein of unclear dating standards, unclear expectations, and not a clearly defined relationship that's leading to a lot of confusion and wasted time. This is a topic I wanted to talk on anyway. So this little clip, which I'm not going to play because I haven't asked for permission, and I'm not going to send the email and wait for the response or anything. This was pretty much a gift from the gods. I will link the video with the timestamp so you guys can go and watch it for yourself. But basically, this lady, she's in a relationship 8 months or so, and this is one of the longest relationships she's had. She's never really had a relationship that's lasted over 2 years. She's already got 1 degree and a master's, and now she's talking about going to, you know, get a degree in law. So we talked about this in the last video. Cynthia G's video with Brian, quote unquote, really covered a lot of ground when it comes to the issues that black women face with dating. And this kind of reaffirms a lot of the things that we've discussed, that when black women are not finding love or they're not content in their relationships, for some reason they feel going and getting more education is the way forward. Now, if you've got a dream or a passion, you have the time. I mean, I can't stop you. I wouldn't say don't do it, because maybe you really do have a calling in a particular field. But as I said in the last videos, you have to think about the time frame, your options, and the debt. This lady said, you know, it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to come out with debt. But she's leading with that masculine energy. She's leading with the education, and she's hoping that she can find a man that will slot into her life instead of him being the leader and her following his lead. Instead of making herself into the kind of woman that a high value man who's going to be able to provide for her, you know, set her down, you know, give her all the things she wants in life, that man is going to choose. She is trying to fulfill the masculine role, which automatically means she's going to attract a feminine man. She's going to be the one paying the bills. She's going to be the one providing. She's going to be the one leading. And okay, initially that may seem like a good thing. She may enjoy the power, but it is going to be draining being in a relationship with a man you feel you can't rely upon. Or there's going to be a lot of confrontation because there's a power struggle between who is going to be the masculine dominant one in that relationship. She wasn't very clear about what it was that she wanted to accomplish. And this is why, especially in channels like this, I talk about, you know, training up girls to be wives from a very young age. I mean, we're not even talking about double digits at this point, because the internet has really opened up young people's eyes to what's going on in the world. And obviously some of that is good, because you don't want to send a child or a young person out into the world completely naive and oblivious. But at the same time, they are being adultified and they're being exposed to things that they shouldn't be exposed to. And as a result, they're not having a true natural development and going through childhood at a healthy pace. They're getting very heavily into adult themes before they actually have the emotional or the mental ability to handle those things. And this lady, she said it. We've said it so many times before. It's women that keep other women in the black community single more than any other community. A lot of fear and mistrust, which was something that came through very heavily in this conversation, are the reasons why black women, amongst other reasons like If women around you are single, they often will try to keep the women around them single as well. It's like, this is my support system, you are like my pseudo husband. And they do this to children. It can happen to family members or even friends, where women often try to sabotage your future relationship prospects so that they won't be the lone ranger at some point. They won't be the only one without a partner. You often see this if you have a relationship that's going well. Your friends or family members will try to discourage you. They'll try to fault find to make you break that relationship off. We know that around 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and in most instances, most breakups are initiated by women as well, on the grounds of things like, I'm just not happy. But there isn't necessarily a concrete reason why that relationship came to an end. It's just women believing that they can monkey branch and literally go and find a better option. And what you'll find is some of the very women who discourage you from your relationship that had the potential to be good, once you are single again, they themselves will get a partner and abandon you instead. So you throw away what could have been your future for your girlfriends, maybe your mother or sister or other females in your environment, and when they themselves meet somebody they're really happy with, they want to be able to just say, I pipped you to the post. And I've heard this before, even on Kevin Samuels' show. There was a lady who admitted she threw away a relationship because her friend told her to, and not long after that she met someone and got married. It was kind of like this rivalry and this jealousy between these two women that the girl who threw away the relationship didn't realize was so deep and actually existed. She only realized how she'd been basically bamboozled by this quote-unquote friend, when the friend was able to kind of stick her tongue out and say, you know, Nina, I've actually beat you to being able to say I'm now a wife. And so we have to understand that single women do keep other women single. In this lady's case, it was the grandmother, and it was the stereotypical, go and get your education, make sure you've got a good career, and the fear mongering of men are not trustworthy, men are trash, they're gonna leave you, you need to know you have your own money and your own education, so that if the man is not doing what he's supposed to do, you always have that to fall back on. What ultimately ends up happening is women spend a long time preparing to go into the workforce to be the best employee they can be, but they haven't got the relationship skills, they haven't got the emotional skills to actually attract, and in some instances physically they're not able to attract the kind of man that's going to give them the lifestyle they ultimately would want, because by the time they realize the life they actually want, they've unfortunately aged out of the dating market. Sometimes I do believe that the black community waits too long to let people date. I know I said that kind of already with, you know, black mothers and matriarchs telling you get your education first, but in other cultures they kind of are more into either courting and some type of arranged marriage situation, where at a young age, late teens, early 20s, they're literally trying to orchestrate some type of setup, or they're very much relaxed about letting their sons and daughters have boyfriends, and that's where they gain the relationship skill and the techniques necessary to kind of work as a team with another person, while the situation is a bit more controlled and it's a little less serious. The older you get, the harder it's going to become, because you've acquired more things, you have a lot of commitments in your own individual life, so it becomes harder to fuse your life with another person's life unless you're ready to detach from your current state. And unfortunately, because black women are so fear-mongered by other women that the man is going to betray you, he's going to leave you, and that you're going to end up being hurt by a black man in particular, because we know 80% of black women who are married to black men. So the vast majority of black people are with other black people, and we know that there's more of a pedestalization of people of other races, and kind of like a rose-tinted glasses. So it's a lot of skepticism and fear to date within the group, but a little bit more leeway outside of the group. So when you hear black women telling other black women, you have to be careful when you date because you could be abandoned, it's generally black women warning each other about black men. And so that fear is what actually drives the poor quality decision making. But there's also a thing where you need skills to be in a relationship. And unfortunately, black women are not trained to have those emotional skills, the emotional intelligence to make a relationship work at a young enough age where they can make mistakes and it's not particularly detrimental. It's not going to cost you a house, it's not going to cost you your car, it's not going to cost you your job or hopefully kids, you know. So while you're in the teenage phase, black females should be encouraged to date and have a little boyfriend. You know, dating doesn't mean sex. It doesn't mean doing sexual acts or sending pictures. Dating is seeing if I want to be exclusive and monogamous with this person, and can we then become exclusive, tending towards marriage. That is the purpose of dating. Dating is like an interview. It's to see whether or not I want to become exclusively monogamous with this person. That is the purpose of dating. It's not to go out, it's not to get gifts, it's not to eat food, it's not to engage in sexual activity, it's to get to know the person. And unfortunately, black girls are not allowed to express that side of their nature, and by the time they want to do it, they actually haven't got the ability to do it, which is why for a lot of black men who, you know, they're more logical, they know a bit more what they want. If they like a woman, they're gonna go for it, or you know, they know if this person can fit into their life or not. They're just like, there isn't a lot of option out here for us, because these women come to the table with a lot of things we don't want, and oftentimes none of the things we do want. This is one of the reasons why women are so offended by the question, what do you bring to the table? Because I think on some level, a lot of women know they don't bring what men really want. So, you know, the obesity problem we know is an issue, single motherhood, we've got the attitude, we've got the physical appearance. The reality is this, but women need to understand that the 30s are not the new 20s, okay? You have to juggle multiple plates or juggle multiple balls at the start of your life. When you start to get into your prime and in your late teens, early 20s, you should be finishing your education, getting into your career, and seeking a husband. And as you progressively get older, you're able to juggle less balls or spin less plates. What do I mean? Once you've got your education out of the way, and you've already secured a partner, you've got you into your little rat bag apartment that's a one room, or your studio apartment that, you know, the walls are paper thin and everything in there, as Kevin would say, is from IKEA. Now you're able to start upgrading your life. You're both working, hopefully you're both childless, and that means you can create an environment that once you decide to start having a family, you're stable. You've got money in the bank. Your spouse is obviously seasoned in his career. Ideally, he should be a bit older, so he's wiser, he's more established, and on top of it, he's further along in his career journey, so he has the ability to sustain a wife and children, so that woman doesn't even have to work. This lady said she wants to go back to work, she wants to study, and she's literally just doing the order backwards. She was not guided in her youth. She was misled in her young adulthood. She floated into a degree that she ends up not really wanting to do. She doesn't have the relationship skills. There's no future husband on the horizon. She's hit 30 and now she's had the epiphany, this is what I want to do with my life, and she's trying to scramble back the time. Unfortunately, women sabotage other women, and a lot of the time it's adults, older generation women who do this to the younger generation coming through. And sometimes it's not malicious, this is just the advice that they were given and they're passing it on. But unfortunately, they've never reflected on their own life to see, this didn't work for me. You have generations of women, households, grandmothers, mothers and daughters living together, working together, sharing finances, and there's not a single man in sight. And this used to be maybe a viable option when cost of living was a bit lower, but things are getting more expensive and things are getting more precarious. It's just not going to be sustainable, especially as more and more men are deciding not to marry, not to date, or even leaving the community altogether. So sisters need to be aware at a very young age, mid-teens, late teens. You need to know your plan. Where am I going to study? What's the prospects like for a career at the end of it? When I go to university, I'm not just getting educated. Education is my backup plan. Seeking a man who's on his purpose, going somewhere, especially because in the Black community, we have a real issue with age gap dating. Other cultures do not have such a problem with dating older men. But in the Black community, there's a massive culture of dating somebody relatively close to your age, and sometimes even women being older than men. Now, if you're the older one, chances are you're going to also have to sustain your partner because you're supposed to be further along in your career. And a lot of women, they complain about 50-50 relationships. They complain about having to support their men. They complain about articles that say that women are the bigger earners, and 60% of women in relationships, Black women in relationships, make more money than their men. Well, then be the kind of woman that a man who makes more money than you would actually want. I have to give it to the lady who's complaining about being upgraded. As bad as thing be, you can't say she didn't work to get those items. She's, fit. She's attractive. She's maxing everything she's got in order to get those benefits. And this pride and this desire to show that you're strong and you're independent actually works against you as a Black woman, because being strong means carrying the load. So if you don't want to carry the load, you have to get accustomed to being vulnerable in a relationship. So in closing, older women, you really need to tell these younger women the truth. To the younger women, juggle your plates early. 30 is not the new 20. You cannot recover that time. Even if you do, the dating options are limited. When you are in your prime, you should be finishing your education and you have a clear plan where you're going and what you're going to accomplish at the end of your education. You know what career you're going to go into and how much it's going to give you financially. And you have to understand that your degree is just a backup plan. Your number one goal when you go to university is to find a brother who's on his purpose and he has that potential. That's all I've got for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Share this video with somebody who needs to see it. Like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.